In 1971, a gritty cop thriller tore through Hollywood like a speeding subway train and changed cinema forever. The French Connection didn't just win 5 Oscars, including Best Picture. It redefined what action could look like on screen, what a hero could be, and how far a director would go to capture raw, dangerous reality. Today, we're diving into 21 weird, wild, and utterly jaw-dropping facts about this cinematic masterpiece. From reckless car chases to real heroin smuggled on set. Buckle up because this ride gets stranger than you ever imagined. Welcome to Rewatch Club, where every fact is worth a second look. Number 1. The chase was real and completely illegal. That legendary car chase under the elevated train? Director William Friedkin didn't bother with permits for most of it. He simply mounted cameras to the car, told stunt driver Bill Hickman to floor it, and let chaos unfold on the streets of Brooklyn. Real pedestrians, real traffic, real danger. The production paid off the NYPD officers assigned to monitor the shoot, essentially bribing them to look the other way. Friedkin later admitted he could have killed someone, and probably should have been arrested. But the result? One of the most visceral, heart-pounding chase sequences ever captured on film, where every near miss was genuinely terrifying because it was genuinely real. Number 2. Gene Hackman hated making this movie. Gene Hackman, who would win his first Oscar for playing Popeye Doyle, absolutely despised the production.
Popeye Doyle, if he doesn't like you, he'll take you apart. And it's all perfectly legal, because Doyle fights dirty.
He found the character morally repugnant, a racist, violent, obsessive cop who cared more about winning than justice. Hackman clashed repeatedly with Friedkin's demanding, often cruel directing style. He was freezing during New York winter shoots, exhausted from the physical demands, and convinced the film would be a disaster. At one point, he tried to quit. Producer Philip D'Antoni had to talk him down. Ironically, Hackman's discomfort and anger fed directly into Popeye's volcanic intensity. The performance that made him a legend came from a place of genuine misery. Number 3. The real Popeye Doyle was even worse. Eddie Egan, the real NYPD detective who inspired Popeye Doyle, was hired as a technical advisor and given a small role in the film.
You want to take a ride there, fat man?
And plays rough.
Anybody want a milkshake?
Doyle is bad news.
Egan was notorious for his brutal interrogation methods, racial prejudice, and obsessive pursuit of drug dealers. He once shot an unarmed teenager in the back and was investigated multiple times for excessive force. The real French Connection case he worked on in the 1960s was groundbreaking, but his methods were deeply questionable. Friedkin sanitized Egan for the screen, believe it or not. The real man was so controversial that the NYPD eventually forced him into early retirement. Yet Egan loved his Hollywood portrayal and spent years basking in the glory. Number 4. Real heroin was used on set. Here's where things get truly bizarre. To make the drug scenes look authentic, the production used actual confiscated heroin provided by the NYPD. Small amounts, under police supervision, but real nonetheless. Friedkin wanted the powder, the packaging, and the handling to look exactly right, and fake props wouldn't cut it. The cast and crew were understandably nervous working around genuine narcotics.
Let's hit him! Hit him! All right, nobody move! Put your hands in the air!
Adding to the surreal atmosphere, Eddie Egan and his partner Sonny Grosso were on set handling the very substance they'd spent their careers fighting. It was method filmmaking taken to a dangerous extreme, blurring the line between documentary realism and reckless authenticity. Number 5. The subway chase almost killed the stunt driver. While the car chase gets all the glory, the elevated train sequence was even more dangerous. Stuntman Bill Hickman had to race beneath the speeding subway train, matching its speed while dodging real traffic and pedestrians below. The timing was insanely precise. If the train slowed or Hickman miscalculated, he could have crashed into the elevated support columns at 90 miles per hour. There were no special effects, no CGI safety nets, no second takes. Friedkin's philosophy was simple and terrifying. Capture it once, capture it real, and pray nobody dies. Hickman later called it the most dangerous stunt of his career.
How many times have I been downhearted, looked up and saw him smiling like a shining dime?
And this was a man who'd driven for Steve McQueen in Bullitt. Before we continue, if you're loving these wild revelations, hit that like button and drop a comment with your favorite movie chase scene. And subscribe to Rewatch Club, because we've got 16 more shocking facts coming your way, including one bonus fact at the end that'll blow your mind. Number 6. The famous, "Did you ever pick your feet in Poughkeepsie?" line was improvised. One of the film's most memorable and baffling interrogation scenes, where Popeye relentlessly asks a suspect if he ever picked his feet in Poughkeepsie, was completely made up on the spot. Gene Hackman and the real Eddie Egan created it during rehearsal as a nonsensical intimidation tactic, something so random and disorienting that it would break down a suspect's mental defenses. Friedkin loved it and kept it in. The line has no actual meaning, which is precisely the point. It's psychological warfare disguised as a question. For decades, audiences have debated what it means. The answer? Absolutely nothing. It's pure mind games, and it's brilliant. Number 7. Fernando Rey was cast by mistake. The film's main villain, French drug kingpin Alain Charnier, was supposed to be played by French actor Jean-Louis Trintignant. But when Friedkin telegrammed his producer requesting Fernando Rey, he meant a different actor. Through a miscommunication, they hired Spanish actor Fernando Rey instead. Rey spoke no English when he arrived in New York. Every one of his lines had to be phonetically coached, and many were later dubbed. Yet Rey's performance is chillingly elegant.
I'm sitting on Frog 1.
Yeah, I know that. Got the Westbury covered like a tent.
The Westbury my ass.
His calm sophistication creates a perfect contrast to Hackman's explosive brutality. The mistake became one of the film's greatest assets, proving that sometimes chaos produces genius. Number 8. Friedkin used actual surveillance footage for research. To achieve documentary-level realism, William Friedkin studied hundreds of hours of genuine NYPD surveillance footage from drug busts and stakeouts. He forced his cinematographer, Owen Roisman, to replicate the grainy, handheld, voyeuristic quality of real police cameras. Friedkin wanted audiences to feel like they were watching something they shouldn't see. Raw, unfiltered, uncomfortable. This approach was revolutionary. Most crime films of the era were polished and theatrical. The French Connection felt like a leaked police tape, like evidence from an actual case.
The French Connection. A millionaire exporter with a record too clean to be true. And Doyle knows it.
That queasy authenticity made the violence hit harder, the stakes feel higher, and the moral ambiguity impossible to ignore. Number 9. The film was shot in brutal winter conditions. The entire production took place during one of New York's coldest winters on record. Temperatures regularly dropped below freezing, and the crew had no warming tents or shelters between takes. Gene Hackman and Roy Scheider stood for hours in frozen clothing, their breath visible in every scene, their discomfort palpable. Friedkin refused to wait for better weather, believing the cold added to the film's harsh, unforgiving atmosphere. He was right. You can feel the chill through the screen. The actors weren't pretending to be miserable, they genuinely were. That suffering translated into performances stripped of Hollywood glamour, raw and desperately human. Number 10. The Oscar win was a massive upset. When The French Connection won Best Picture at the 1972 Academy Awards, it stunned Hollywood. The film was competing against A Clockwork Orange, Fiddler on the Roof, The Last Picture Show, and Nicholas and Alexandra. Industry insiders expected something more traditional to win, not a gritty, violent, morally ambiguous cop thriller shot in a quasi-documentary style. Friedkin winning Best Director over Stanley Kubrick was equally shocking. The French Connection's 5 Oscars signaled a seismic shift in American cinema, away from old Hollywood prestige pictures toward the raw, dangerous, auteur-driven films of the new Hollywood era.
He's spreading it around like the Russians are in Jersey. They say we stick around and give him a tail.
It proved that audiences were hungry for realism, complexity, and films that refused to provide easy answers. If you're still with us, you're a true Rewatch Club member. Show some love, smash that subscribe button, and let us know in the comments which 1970s thriller deserves its own deep dive. We've got 11 more mind-blowing facts, plus that insane bonus fact waiting at the end. Number 11. Roy Scheider was a last-minute replacement. Roy Scheider, who plays Popeye's partner Buddy Russo, wasn't the first choice. The role was originally offered to several other actors who turned it down. Scheider was cast just weeks before filming began. Despite this, he and Hackman developed an authentic chemistry that grounds the film. Scheider plays the conscience to Hackman's rage, more thoughtful, more conflicted, less willing to cross ethical lines. Their dynamic feels lived in and real, like partners who've worked together for years. Scheider would go on to become a major star, particularly for Jaws and All That Jazz, but his understated performance here often gets overlooked. Without him, the film would lose its moral anchor. Number 12. The ending was deliberately anticlimactic. Most action films of the era ended with a big shootout, the hero triumphant, justice served. The French Connection does the opposite. After all that obsessive pursuit, Popeye accidentally shoots and kills an FBI agent in the dark, and Charnier escapes. Titles inform us that most defendants received light sentences or went free. It's frustrating, unsatisfying, and absolutely true to life. Friedkin and screenwriter Ernest Tidyman refused to provide catharsis. They wanted audiences to leave the theater feeling what Popeye feels: empty, cheated, questioning whether any of it mattered. That bold choice was controversial, but cemented the film's reputation as unflinchingly honest. Number 13. The film was initially rated X. When The French Connection was first submitted to the MPAA ratings board, it received an X rating, the same as pornography. The board objected to the violence, the language, and especially the racial slurs. Friedkin refused to cut anything. After intense negotiations and appeals, the film was re-rated R without a single frame changed. The board simply decided context mattered more than content. This controversy generated massive publicity, and the film's reputation as something dangerous and transgressive helped sell tickets. Audiences wanted to see what was so shocking.
Well, downtown, they're pretty sure he pulled off a contract on a guy named DeMarco.
That's not a drop. I'll open up a charge for you at Bloomingdale's.
Ironically, by today's standards, the violence is relatively tame, but the moral ugliness still disturbs. Number 14. Friedkin fired a gun next to Scheider's head. William Friedkin was notorious for extreme directing tactics. To get an authentic shocked reaction from Roy Scheider during an interrogation scene, Friedkin fired a live pistol inches from Scheider's head without warning. The actor's terror was completely genuine, because he thought he might die. Scheider was furious afterward, but Friedkin got the take he wanted. This kind of behavior would never fly today, but in the early 1970s, it was seen as visionary commitment. Friedkin believed that real fear produces real performances. He wasn't entirely wrong, but his methods were abusive and dangerous, a dark side of new Hollywood auteur worship. Number 15. The film's budget was microscopic. The French Connection was made for just $1.8 million. Pocket change even by 1971 standards. The low budget forced creativity. No elaborate sets, no Hollywood lighting, no controlled environments. Everything was shot on location with available light and minimal equipment.
I make him come out of the hotel. He was free as a bird. He went on solo wing.
The hell are you talking about?
Friedkin turned financial constraints into aesthetic choices. The film's raw, unpolished look wasn't just artistic vision, it was economic necessity. Yet that scrappy guerrilla approach made it feel urgent and immediate. The lack of resources paradoxically freed Friedkin to break every rule. And the film would go on to gross over $75 million worldwide, proving that grit and vision trump money. Loving this deep dive? Hit that like button, drop a comment with your favorite Gene Hackman role, and subscribe to RewatchClub, because we're about to reveal some of the weirdest facts yet, including a bonus fact so wild you won't believe it's true. Number 16. The 3-minute take that changed everything. There's a nearly 3-minute unbroken surveillance scene where the camera simply watches Charnier enter and exit a building while Popeye freezes outside. No cuts, no dialogue, just observation. Critics initially called it boring, but Friedkin understood something profound. Real police work is tedious, hours of nothing, punctuated by seconds of violence.
Listen, now, I don't care how many bartenders you got that are sick. Nah, I'm not working that joint.
That scene builds excruciating tension precisely because nothing happens. You feel Popeye's cold, his frustration, his obsession calcifying into madness. It's a masterclass in using cinematic time to create psychological realism. Modern audiences, raised on rapid editing, often find it mesmerizing. Patience becomes suspense. Number 17. The film's iconic score almost didn't exist. Composer Don Ellis created the film's unforgettable jazz-funk score, but Friedkin initially wanted no music at all. He believed silence would enhance realism. Ellis convinced him that music could amplify tension without breaking immersion, using unconventional rhythms and instrumentation. The result is a score that feels almost diegetic, like it's coming from car radios and distant clubs rather than traditional film orchestration. Ellis used odd time signatures, dissonant brass, and percussive drive that mirrors the chaotic energy of New York streets. It shouldn't work, but it does. The score became iconic, influencing action film music for decades. Number 18. Eddie Egan and Sonny Grosso became Hollywood fixtures. After The French Connection, the real detectives Eddie Egan and Sonny Grosso became minor celebrities. Egan appeared in over a dozen films and TV shows, always playing cops. Grosso became a successful producer, working on shows like NYPD Blue and The Equalizer. They consulted on countless crime dramas, shaping how police were portrayed on screen for generations.
I know the deal hasn't gone down. I know it hasn't. I can feel it. I'm dead certain.
Their presence in Hollywood represents something fascinating. The men who inspired a revolution in gritty crime cinema became part of the machine, forever trading on the mythology of one case. Their real legacy is complicated, but their cultural impact is undeniable. Number 19. The film spawned a lesser-known sequel. French Connection 2, released in 1975, brought back Gene Hackman as Popeye Doyle, now pursuing Charnier in Marseille. Directed by John Frankenheimer, it's a much stranger film. Doyle gets kidnapped, forcibly addicted to heroin by Charnier's men, and must go through agonizing withdrawal. Hackman's performance during the cold turkey scenes is devastating. The sequel is darker and more psychological than the original, less action-driven, more about trauma and obsession. It flopped commercially and is rarely discussed today, but it's a bold, uncomfortable character study that takes the first film's moral ambiguity even further. Worth seeking out for Hackman completists. Number 20. The French Connection case had shocking real-life consequences. The actual French Connection heroin bust was groundbreaking. 112 pounds of pure heroin, worth $32 million on the street, seized in 1962. But here's the dark twist. Most of the confiscated drugs mysteriously disappeared from NYPD evidence storage in 1972, just as the film was released.
Hello.
Who is it?
Yeah, this is Sal. How are you?
Hey, Will. Foreigner.
You meet me Wednesday at the hotel, okay? Good.
It was replaced with flour and other substances. The theft was never solved, though suspicions fell on corrupt officers within the department. So the very drugs the real Popeye Doyle risked everything to capture ended up back on the streets, probably distributed by dirty cops. The irony is crushing and perfectly encapsulates the film's cynical view of justice. Number 21. Bonus fact. Friedkin staged a fake assassination attempt. Here's the wildest fact we've saved for last. During filming of the assassination scene where a sniper targets a French official, William Friedkin wanted genuine panic from the crowd. So he hired the sniper, positioned him on a rooftop overlooking a real public intersection, and fired blanks during an actual parade, without telling anyone except essential crew. Real bystanders scatter in terror. Real police rush in. The chaos captured on film is completely authentic because people believed they were witnessing an actual assassination attempt. It was reckless, illegal, and could have caused a stampede or heart attacks. Friedkin later admitted it was insane, but that moment in the film, absolutely electrifying. That's the kind of unhinged commitment that defined New Hollywood, and that would never ever be allowed today. The French Connection remains a landmark not just for its technical brilliance or visceral action,
The French Connection.
but for its unflinching honesty. It showed us heroes who weren't heroic, victories that felt like defeats, and a justice system corroded by obsession and corruption. Friedkin's reckless genius captured lightning in a bottle, a perfect storm of talent, danger, and raw truth that could never be replicated. These 21 facts reveal just how wild the journey was. Now it's your turn. Which fact shocked you the most? Did you know about the real heroine on set, or Friedkin's insane fake assassination? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you love diving deep into cinema history and discovering the secrets behind legendary films, smash that subscribe button and join Rewatch Club. Because here's the deal. You can chase facts all day like Popeye chased Charnier, but the real connection happens right here. Hit that like button, tell us which classic thriller we should cover next. And remember, in Rewatch Club, the truth is always stranger than the script.